I still remember the exact moment my life fell apart. It was a quiet Tuesday evening in July 2026. I was sitting on my worn-out couch in sweatpants, eating leftover pizza, when I clicked on that email from the DNA testing company. Just a casual heritage project, something fun to do on a boring weekend. I never expected it to blow up my entire reality. The results loaded slowly. At the top of the match list was a single name. Emily. 50.1% shared DNA. That's not a sister percentage. That's a mother-child match. My hands started shaking so badly I dropped my phone. I picked it up, refreshed the page, and checked again. Same result. I called customer support at 11 p.m., and a tired representative confirmed what I already knew deep down. This indicates a parent-child relationship. I didn't cry at first. I just sat there in complete silence while the world spun around me. The woman I had called my big sister my entire life was actually my biological mother. Let me take you back. Emily is 17 years older than me. Growing up, she was always my protector, my confidant, my role model. She helped me with homework, taught me how to braid my hair, covered for me when I snuck out as a teenager. My grandparents raised me, and I always thought it was because my parents were busy or had issues. The family story was vague and inconsistent, but I never questioned it. Why would I? That night, after seeing the results, I barely slept. I kept opening and closing the DNA app, hoping the numbers would change. They didn't. By morning, I was a wreck. Puffy eyes, racing heart, and this sick feeling in my stomach that wouldn't go away. I spent the entire next day obsessively comparing our photos side by side. The same nose, the same smile lines, the way we both tilt our heads when we laugh. How had I never noticed? Once the initial shock faded, the memories started flooding back with brutal new meaning. I remembered being 6 years old and asking why Emily didn't have a baby bump in any old photos like my friends' moms did. My grandmother snapped at me and said, "Some things we don't talk about." I learned quickly not to ask again. There were all those times Emily would get strangely emotional during my birthdays. She'd hug me too tight, her eyes watering, and whisper, "You're growing up so fast." I thought she was just being an overprotective big sister. Now I realize she was watching her own daughter grow up, while pretending to be someone else. I remembered family gatherings where relatives would give Emily these pitying or knowing looks. The way conversations would die when someone accidentally called her mom by mistake. The suffocating silence that always followed. All of it was there, the clues I was too young and trusting to see. Every childhood milestone now feels stolen. My first day of school, Emily was the one who walked me in. My middle school graduation, she cried harder than anyone. My prom, she helped me pick the dress and stayed up late doing my makeup. She was there for everything, because I was hers. And yet she let me call her sis. She let me believe a lie for 28 years. I'm a logical person, so I went full detective mode. I downloaded the raw DNA data, cross-referenced it with every possible relationship calculator online. Every single test pointed to the same impossible truth. Emily is my biological mother. There was no room for doubt. No, maybe it's a cousin loophole. The science was cold and clinical. But my heart refused to accept it. I went through every stage of grief in a single week. Denial. This company must have mixed up the samples. Anger. How could she do this to me? Bargaining. Maybe if I just don't tell anyone, things can go back to normal. Depression. I canceled plans, stopped answering calls, and cried in my car for hours. I reached out to 2 aunts on my mom's side. Both of them admitted they knew. One even said, "We all agreed it was best for you." Best for me? They stole my truth and replaced it with a comfortable lie. I couldn't hold it in anymore. On a rainy Friday night, I drove to Emily's apartment unannounced. My hands were gripping the steering wheel so tight my knuckles turned white. When she opened the door and saw my face, her expression collapsed. "Tell me," I said, my voice shaking. "Tell me the truth right now, or I swear I'll never speak to you again." She tried to play dumb for about 30 seconds before she broke. She sank onto the couch and started sobbing. the kind of deep, guttural crying that comes from years of holding something in. "I was 16, she whispered. "He was older. When I told him I was pregnant, he vanished. Mom and Dad were furious. They said I ruined my life. They made me promise never to tell you. They said they would raise you as their own, and I could still be in your life, as your sister." She told me how she begged them to let her keep me, how she cried for months after I was born, how every time I called her sis, it felt like a knife in her chest. She watched me grow up from the sidelines, loving me fiercely, but forced to stay in the shadows. I screamed at her. "You were my mother, and you let me believe I was unwanted. You let me think my real mom didn't care." She just kept crying and saying, "I'm so sorry. I was scared. I didn't want to lose you." I left that night, not knowing if I could ever forgive her. It's been almost 6 months now. The relationship is still raw and messy. Some days we talk for hours, and I feel like I'm finally getting to know my real mom. Other days, the anger comes back, and I can't even look at her. I've had to rebuild my entire sense of identity. Who am I if my origin story was fabricated? What does family even mean anymore? I've joined online communities of people who discovered family secrets through DNA tests. The stories are heartbreakingly similar. Parents who were actually grandparents, siblings who were aunts or uncles. Modern genetic testing is exposing secrets that stayed buried for decades. If you're watching this video and considering taking a DNA test, I want you to know, the truth can hurt. It can break your heart and shatter the family you thought you knew. But living in a lie is far worse. I'm still figuring things out. I'm in therapy. I'm trying to decide whether I want Emily in my life as my mother or if the pain is too deep. Some wounds don't fully heal. They just become part of who you are. But here's what I've learned. Truth matters, even when it's ugly, even when it destroys everything you thought you knew. Family isn't the story we tell ourselves. It's the people who stay when the story falls apart. Thank you for listening to my story. If you've been through something similar, drop your experience in the comments. You're not alone.